if you want me to stay. Something, if you want me to stay. If you want me to stay, I never leave you.
Oh yeah. Okay, I was like, wait, I know there's a part of the song that I do know. I just don't know which one it is.
Okay, first of all, the fact that y'all don't know more of that song hurts my feelings.
I just know that na na na.
Oh.
Like I knew the beat. I was like, okay, I'm waiting for it. There's something. I knew that I knew.
But you wanted something. Welcome to episode 5, back again with the So Basically a Podcast with your host, the Black Maria and
Cabrona Logic.
Yay! And we have, yes, a special guest. Give your applause, give your snaps.
Thanks for having me. I'm Talia. You can find me at my friend Talia. I'm from Bay Area. My pronouns are she, her. And a fun fact about me is I get injured on my own.
Okay.
Like, that is a fun fact because I literally have gotten messed up like 4 separate times during quarantine alone.
Okay. All right.
That's as fun as I can get. College Hill on Hulu right now. I don't know if you guys watch College Hill, but it's on Hulu.
Oh, yeah.
Been binge watching that again. So
question. What seasons are on there? I didn't go look at it myself and I just don't want to get hurt and get it.
Oh, no, they started at season 4, Virgin Islands.
Okay. Does it go on past that one or is it just like 1 or 2 seasons?
I think it's 4, 5, and 6. I think it might be 4 and 5 or 4 and 6.
Okay, it's probably the Atlanta one, I think, or the Georgia one, or the Florida one. Oh, it's probably the Florida one. Ooh.
I know, I need to check, but when I saw Virgin Islands, I was like,
we all know, right?
Yeah. But
hey, Mom, have you seen College Hill?
I haven't, but I've heard about it, and when I saw your tweet about it, I was like, okay, I need it. I have Hulu.
Premium television. This is like right around the era of when like Bad Girls Club was like maybe 3rd, 4th season. Like these are really fresh. So all the quote unquote rowdiness that happens on shows, it was all new. It was like brand new. So security really didn't get there in time. People weren't really throwing drinks. It was kind of like I'm throwing hands, not drinks. I can get to you. I can grab across the table and get you actually for real before security can get to me.
Like reality TV, right?
It's peak reality TV.
But it's peak, like right in its prime, like, you know.
That's because there's no drama being at home right now. I live for the drama. So I just been watching everything that's messy that I could think of.
Right. Yep. But it has to be like a certain type of drama. It can't be like too overwhelming. Like, I need fake setup situations that are exaggerated to the extreme for no reason.
You just know there's no way it's real.
Right. Like that's what really gets me.
Yeah.
Living for
I think that's why I like reality TV. It's literally like, it's just so ridiculous sometimes. Then I was like, okay, this makes me feel good about what I got going on over here. This is good. Great.
I can't. Oh, we have to do our check-in. And then
and then we'll insert the other clip.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
awesome.
Okay, all
right, so now we have to check in though. Yes. So
check in.
Hey Mom, how are you feeling as of today throughout this week? This is our first episode actually in 2021, so we're a month into the year. How are you feeling?
Yeah, let's see. I just can't believe we're a month into the new year.
Wild.
Like, that's 1/12 done of the year. So I'm feeling
1/12, I'm done.
Because yeah, I do my math right. I'm feeling, I'm gonna say good because that's what you say when like there's too much to answer the question,
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm good. I'm here. I'm happy to be here, happy to be recording. It's always fun and exciting to record a new episode and just talk about stuff that we always wanted to talk about. But I'm definitely just like a tiny bit shocked that we're 1 month down. I don't know. It was like half of the month went too fast and the other half like lagged. And then all of a sudden it was February. And I was like, oh, okay. We're moving along. But yeah, that's me.
I feel it.
Really.
I feel it.
And
our special guest, how are you feeling after 1 month in? Where are you at?
I'm definitely feeling tired. I feel like this last month was a little bit too much for me, and I woke up and everything hit me at once today. Like I woke up scarf off, like had to go to work today, not even working from home. Like it was just a different vibe.
Oh, you had to like go to a destination.
I had to go.
Oh.
It was totally different. I enjoyed it just because it was like sunny and everything, and I was trying to like get in the zone. But honestly, I'm just like still super hopeful, like that things are gonna get better. So I still feel like even though today was bad, it started bad, like it's ending really good. So I'm trying to just be positive and stay in my positive bag. Fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel that wholeheartedly. Fake it till you make it.
Yep.
When in doubt, smile it out.
Right? Like, what else can you do? What else could you do? Gotta at least try and look the part or act the part.
Cry about it later. That's what we really do. But neither here nor there.
How about you, Maria? How are you feeling? It is
you know what? I was talking to one of my friends on Snapchat the other day, and I asked them how they were doing, and they said decent. And when they said decent, that word just resonated with me so much because they said if they were to say okay, it would be a lie. And I was like, I definitely feel that. I've never really thought about the word decent, but now that they've used it, I told them I was going to use it because it just makes sense. Yeah. So I'm decent, but I am, I guess, heading more towards like good, you know, like if there was a spectrum of bad and okay and decent, I'm on the verge. I'm decent on the verge of good. There's a few things coming up like in my life, like work-wise and just like on the side of like hobbies that I'm doing that are going to be making big turns. So I'm trying to take it day by day because I am definitely a stressor. And when I know things are coming up ahead of me, I'm like, I kind of freak out. So I have my daily to-do list. I have my week calendar. I have my month calendar, both for personal and work. And I'm just crossing off day by day as I can. Because if I don't, we're going to explode.
Well, let's get right to it. We have our first segment.
Yes.
And we're going to be throwing a petty party out here.
It's time for a petty party.
Yeah. So this is an alcohol-free party because we're supporting Maria.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love that for us.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what we're going to talk about during this petty party? What are we gonna rant about?
Yes, I think with this one, it's a loaded one. So, you know, feel free for however your opinion is. But so we are talking about like a category and a subcategory with it. So the overall is a whole phase. Is there like pros and cons, consequences, things like that? And then a subcategory under that would be sexualization first attraction. I think that does play a very big part into the situation of a quote unquote whole phase and the like connotations and like whether it's negative or positive comes with it. So one, I have a question for both of y'all. When you think of the phrase whole phase, first two things off the top of your head.
Insecure. Because I think of hotation.
Okay, I love it. I'm more here for it.
And then I think of just like release. Like that's the first thing I think of is just like you're in it, you're relaxed, you feel yourself. So it's like that release of like no more pressure.
Okay, I like that. Okay, Mom, what's your thoughts?
Okay, when I hear whole phase, I hear definitely like freedom. Just, you know.
Okay.
I can't help but I just because I'm somebody that engages in monogamous relationships, single, like I think of being single, like if I'm not in a relationship, I'm single, which then means I'm probably in a hoe phase. And then having fear of having to hide it. Like I'm all for like embracing it, but for me and for the people around me, and I'm sure we'll get into it, I feel like it has to be quiet. It has to be low key. Low key. Yeah. What do you think about when you first hear that?
When I think of hoe phase, I definitely think of Act Up by City Girls, hands down. I just feel like that's a whole anthem in itself. And the second thing I think of is, honestly, I really think of like, did I really have one?
That part.
Because, well, we can kind of segue into it, but I think of that because of, I think when it comes to like women identified folks, it's when you're dating, it's not really seen as dating. It's like you need to be in a relationship or you need to be out there single, not talking to anyone and waiting for that one to come along and then you date that person. You can't really have these moments of spurts of maybe you have like a 2-month situationship or you thought you were dating someone to a relationship, but it didn't go. Like you don't really, society-wise, you don't really have that room to figure that out. You don't have that leverage. But when it comes to like mass folks or like male-identified folks, they can just, they have a breakup, man, do what you want, do your thing, get on that there, you know, get how many, whatever notches under your belt. And it's seen as like acceptable. But if I have a breakup and I'm going through something and I want to live my life, it's like, oh, don't go out there and act up. Don't be doing too much, you know, like just take it in stride and silence it. Like I thought about it, like when I was at a time, I dated maybe like 2-3 people. As much as I wanted to put them on my social media, just because I'm having fun with them at the moment, I knew, and they all knew, like they were aware I was dating other people. It wasn't like, oh, I was hiding it. But I knew if I put it out there, somebody was going to get butthurt. And that's an annoying thing to think of. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
You're preaching. I was like,
yeah, and it's so annoying. And I think it's too, when you finally get to a place like when you're mentioning about freedom, first of all, I think about that Nicki Minaj quote when they're like, to freedom, the little quote from
yes.
But I also think like too, like if I want that like freedom to love my body and whatever expression I want to express that, like, yeah, I can be attractive to you, but should you sexualize me just because I am trying to live my life the way I want? I think that also plays a part into it too. Like it just goes hand in hand. And I feel like there's double standards in society and people haven't figured it out. And it's really annoying. So yeah.
I feel you on the double standards, but I want to ask Talia, tell us more about what do you mean by hotation? Because when you say that, like I think of something, I think of either having one or being a part of one. And I want to know exactly what you meant.
Yeah. How would you define it?
I think it like, well, at least on Insecure, but hotation is like you have your lineup. Like you have your people you talk to, people maybe you mess around with, and a hotation.
A roster.
Roster.
You are you are in control over them.
That's what I like when I think of hoe phase. I definitely feel like you're in control. For the most part, like at least the confident, because there is a downside to it, but like the confident part of it, or like just recently like being out of a relationship, like it's that confidence booster of like, oh, yep, it's me. Like if it wasn't a panoramic, I'd be outside right now, but here I am. Like,
I want to add what I do make some of my close friends do when they listen and still laugh. In our group chat, I make them provide their roster lineup for that time. So it'll be like roster spring 21. So we are aware, even if they are relevant to them, we have like, you know, notifications like these 4 are relevant, these 4 potential, these 3 are actually making moves towards someone I would really want to date. So, and we have picture, name, age, where they're from. So we just know. So when they mention that person before, or if they have a nickname too. So, you know, like once we mention that person again, it's like, oh, okay, let me go back to the references. Got it.
What was it?
And it started, Gabby knows it started because she made me send her my lineup years ago because she used to get so confused when I tried to update her my like dating life out here when I was out here, you know, being a player, you know.
But I'll be clear, it wasn't about the number of people. It wasn't about that. That wasn't the issue at all. The issue was that they all had nicknames and each nickname spoke to like their story and who they were as a person. So I needed a reminder of the nickname. So then I already knew like, oh, that's so-and-so. And that comes with blank. So that's how that started. Because I remember getting that little notes.
Yeah. And so then she had like, it's like a cheat sheet. So you can keep up.
Now I know.
Me and my best friend, we do emojis. So like, I'll like text him because I have a guy best friend. I have a girl best friend too, but like my guy best friend, I can tell him anything. So I'll tell him about somebody and then he hits me back with an emoji and I'm like fitting. So like got the little hands emoji, like thirsty. He got that emoji. There is somebody like long time back, but somebody who like resurrected from the dead. I hadn't talked to them in like years. Pops up out the blue. They got the little vampire emoji, but like it all makes sense. So it's like pretty goofy. But that's how we like talk about people, just because, I mean, I've encountered being out of my phase and then having someone like go through my phone or like search someone's name up, and then heaven forbid somebody's name comes up that they know. So code name emojis.
See, I think I just adopt this don't tell policy. Like if somebody is not important enough for me to be in a relationship, they're probably not important enough for my friends to even know like who they are. And there's different ways to do it. Like I've done it where I think when I was in college, I had one long-term situationship, because only I would do that, where it was just a long-term one-on-one agreement. Like we just, and actually, man, I don't even know how much you know about them, Maria, because this was like a low-key, I say civilian because that's what like he was non-Greek, so
civilian
in a fraternity, and nobody really knew about them. They didn't know their name. I don't even know if
I feel betrayed. We need to talk about this after.
This is how I know you know about them. One time.
Hi y'all, Cabrona Logic here. Don't mind me. This is just a not so subtle reminder to myself that I cannot overshare when telling a story while recording an episode. I have no way of easily and discreetly cropping out the 30 seconds of descriptive personal information that I shared. So instead of airing out that information, I'm just here to remind myself not to do it again. Enjoy.
Like this was again a long-term thing, but I never even said their name. Like my best friend didn't know their name. They went by a nickname. I think it was their sign, so they were like Capricorn. So it was, and when I say like long-term, like 2 years, like, you know, just SNA support. but to the point, yeah, they're just, you know, low key. So the second phase I had, but I mean, basically any time I deny. So the second time that I engaged in a hoe phase, which is probably that's when I knew you, Talia. I didn't even tell y'all about it. Like I was close with y'all, but I didn't even tell anybody about it because I just avoid embarrassment. Just don't share, you know? Then you don't have to be accountable for like what the person does. They don't have to know each other. They don't, you know?
I'm gonna stick my petty points in at this point because this is like things that like get me flustered about quote unquote hoe phase is that, well, of course there's a double standard in it, but just that situation when I've dated men they will be extremely hurt by me doing the exact same actions that they do at a lesser level. And also another thing I'm doing now, I also did before too, was I'm no longer going off your body language and all the energy that I observe from you. Like if you don't communicate directly about how you feel, then I'm no longer trying to use my telepathic abilities or, you know, what I've learned in different classes to grasp what you're trying to say through your attitude or your movements. If you don't tell me out your mouth, then I feel like it's not that big of a deal for you to communicate your feelings. If you're even able to identify your feelings in the situation, you know, I can't. So that's also why I asked when I was in my whole phase and I was talking to men at that time, I would always ask them or let them know, I shouldn't say ask them because it's not their choice. I would let them know, you know, I am going to be dating other people. And for some men, they were like, oh, well, now you're just being a hoe, or mind you, we're just starting to talk. Like I wouldn't even consider that dating yet. We've had maybe 2-3 conversations back and forth. We're communicating as of right now, you know, and that's the reaction I would get to them, which means they would immediately be blocked, because it's like, why? If you can date multiple people, then why can't I date multiple people?
And you're being honest.
Completely, I'm trying to be honest with you, but the times where I've let all the people know that I've dated, or I was dating multiple people, the men were the only ones that were curious to see if they were like doing better than other people or like the other guys. And I was like, why? Okay, first of all, why is it a competition? Second of all, do you really want to know? Because if I tell your place in the roster, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, I don't.
Like, only one of you gets to be satisfied with the answer.
Right. Like, that's how your feelings can really get hurt. And I would understand that. I feel like if someone told me, no, I don't think I'll be hurt. If I was on a roster and then they were like, oh, you're number 3.
I feel like that's because you're Sagittarius. Like, you have a different energy. Like, I would never ask because I'd be hurt. So
what's your sign?
I'm a Cancer.
Oh, yeah, no.
I know.
I know a couple Cancers right now.
Yeah. I had one moment when I questioned whether I had the ability to like fully embrace my whole face or not. And I was very just quickly reminded, I think in order for that to be the case, like you said, Talia, for like your feelings not to get hurt, like you do have to be in control. Like you have to really approach it in the same way that, right, men approach it, which is, what do I get out of it? And I'm just going to think about how I benefit from this encounter. And once somebody, a really good friend, just like redirected my thought, they were like, well, what did you need to get out of them? Go and get it. And I was like, oh, I can do this. But I know that heavily changes like when I'm actually in a relationship. It's, for me, it's about when I'm single and how I get to do it. I think for me, what my petty thought about it, right, of what happens when I embrace my whole face is the fact that I know that it's not socially acceptable. So really, in a more extreme situation, right, for me, my whole face actually has resulted in like now having this like deep-rooted fear of like, these fools could come back at any point, any time. And because nobody knows about them, right? Like, and I was, very liberated at the time, right? Like there may be things that now it feels like people have on you because I know what the reaction would be, right? If people knew, like I knew like what my mom would think if she found out, right? Because I tell my mom when I'm in relationships, but I don't tell her when I just, casually encounter people. So that's
really.
I don't listen. My mom.
Yeah.
Sorry, I would drop it. My mom knows everybody.
So to be honest, for me, the reason I chose, like I thought of the whole phase, was because I was hoping that I would be entering my whole phase because I never got to really have a whole phase. I feel like anytime I would try, like I remember in the beginning of college, I was like finally dating around, like having my whole phase. And then one of my whole phase link ups, like fell madly in love with a person. Cause that's just me. Cause we clicked, hit it off. And then we had like 3 years later. It's like, I feel like I'm always that kind of like comic book. It'll be like, oh, they kicking it. They having fun. And then last time, like I was getting in my whole phase, getting in my bag, super confident. Yeah. And then I was like, maybe consistent D would be cool. Cause then it's just consistent. Like I don't have to like really think about it. This person's cool. And I have my guard up the entire time. And I think that was just like my third eye. My sister always talks about like her third eye, but it was my third eye like warning me. But for whatever reason, because I was so confident and I was in such a healthy place that I ended up in a relationship again to help somebody else who then sucked all my energy out. So now I'm like finally emerged from that. And I'm like, hope phase me, but we're in panoramic. Yeah. So other people have whole phases in the modern age where you can't go link up with people. Well, you can go link up with people, but like how hard is it to socialize with people? Like all that kind of thing. And then I definitely feel like the sexualization of it, that whole aspect, me being me, is kind of just like, I'm super pumped for it, but I guess the perception of what it would look like to other people definitely does trigger me a little bit. And also because I deeply, for whatever reason, I care about other people's feelings more so than my own in certain sections, even if it's like I'll get my sexual bit from it, but anything more, like I start to care about you. It's like, oh yeah, you told me about that one thing. And even if we're just chopping it up, like I care too deeply for other people. So it's like, can I even have a whole face and have fun? Do I just call it casual dating? My serial dater? Like, what does that look like?
You get invested.
So invested, but now I'm invested in being single. I'm gonna get me a dog.
Okay.
I don't want a man right now.
You.
I do, but I don't.
I think honestly, obviously, the first thing you talked about is kind of what I was just referring to, of like when we released the podcast, my cousins, we have a group chat on Instagram with my cousins. And, everybody's like, oh, like, can I use the podcast? I'll listen and support. And literally I responded and I was like, thanks, y'all. Don't tell your mama or my mama. Because the reality is, like, I know damn well that, like, the sexually liberated person that I am is not one that I bring to my home and to my family. Like, that's not how I present myself. I feel like I live this, like, double life. And I think, so those repercussions are super real because now, the person that fucks with me online, I actually came across them during my whole phase. I came across them on dating apps. It's how I know. It's how I know it's you, fucker. It's how I know because literally they were on there and they had this secret on me that they told my mom, like, I know stuff about her that you don't. So I was forced to come clean to my mom about things and choices that I made in my life that I just know she doesn't approve of. But this was still a part that I actually, like, I didn't tell her, like, oh yeah, like I did, encountered or dated people. I didn't necessarily, share that with her. And it's something that still kind of lingered above me. Like, this person was like, some of the posts that are made about me are about sexual acts that they claim to have done with me. And whenever that happens, for me, I'm always like, first of all, no, it didn't happen, not with you. Like, you didn't get any of that. And then the second part is, but what if I had? Like, and what? Like, so what? But it's this weird place where they're not true, but I'm also like not against what they are saying I did. It's just literally not true and didn't happen with that person. So there's this like extra thing that I stopped telling my mom about the incidents online because she was involved for a while. Like I said, she talked to the person. But then they had this like, oh, I have this secret on her. And it was that I was on dating apps and that like I was casually hooking up with people. And it's kind of like, so what? But the so what is that my mom would slap me if she found out. Like, she would not be happy. So those consequences are hella heavy. But I still support it. So what I would say, I don't know if it's a pro tip or not, because I've only done this a few times, but I feel like a common thread around the people that I've successfully been in situationships with and or encountered during my hoe phase is that they were never a relationship potential. Like, I don't think I would never date any of them. Like, ever.
That could be a good or bad thing though.
Let's go.
I've heard that one before.
That could be a good or a bad thing though, because
yes.
I don't know if any of you experienced this, but initially when I first started dating, when I quote unquote blossomed, when I went to college and I was like 19, and I guess I was just really fresh and new and popping or whatever. The same notion, like I was dating people that I knew wouldn't be in a relationship with, but like one or two of them I actually did start liking, because I don't know if that's also just trauma from growing up where there were times where like I liked people and they didn't like me back. And like, I don't know if it's like me reverse, like if someone else likes me, I sometimes have the automatic notion to start liking them regardless. And I don't know what, I don't know if it's trauma, I don't know what it is, but that is so frustrating. So that's happened to me before. There's someone where I'm like, I know would not be in a relationship with this person. Like, I know I wouldn't, but I'm invested because I've gotten to know you somewhat, just besides any potential like physical stuff we're doing. And now since I know that you like me, now I'm starting to like you. Do I have a reason why? No, I just know you like me, so I'm liking you right back.
I think that's like empathy. Like you feel kind of, it's not that you feel bad, but like I've definitely gotten put in positions, a lot of positions of that, of someone giving me all of this, like giving me them. And I'm like, oh, I see you giving me, okay.
Match the energy.
Let me just throw it right back. Sorry, I'm not even talking. Like, let me just throw this right back at you real quick. Cause I want you to feel good. Like I'm that gratification person. Like, I'm like a yes, like, let me yes you, like, so you feel good. And then I'll be sitting there like,
what's going on?
What am I doing?
What am I doing?
Let's just be real quick. And it takes like a while for me, whether that's like me kicking it with you for a month or a couple of years. And then me being like, what the hell is this? Nobody told me. And everybody's like, you knew.
Okay, one thing I will say too, I keep saying one thing, but whatever. I do appreciate my mom in the situation where, even though like growing up, she was really like kind of modest about it. I didn't really know how she really felt about relationships, dating, anything like that. But as I started to grow up and I did start to date, particularly when it comes to men, she really don't want to hear about women, honestly, TBH. But to men, she is kind of like, okay, so who is this person? What are they about? Do you enjoy the time that you spend with them? What are they giving you? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like monetary, physical, material, but it's just like, what are they giving you? And so as soon as I mentioned anything that like they did that it's kind of annoying, or it's just not, it's like a red flag, my mom's like, okay, so are we dropping them? Are we done with them? Or are they compensating you for the time that they're taking out of your life? So I'll, when I was in that whole phase and I was like getting my groceries paid for, I was getting, a gas tank, then buying my, my textbooks. So my mom was like, okay, as long as we're giving you something, that's fine. Because they don't really deserve their time with you. Like, your time is precious and that's when you can't get back. So she was always like, okay, what did he do for you? Nothing, just, she's like, oh, okay. So that's why I have had conversations and had, a big communication about who I was dating or whatever else, because it was beneficial to kind of get her like perspective. So that's, I'm like, I'm magic because look where I came from.
Mama knows the formula.
I feel like it's really important to look at how we experience it. And then I would just say in general, like how like masculine presenting people or like males like experience the whole phase, because I like have been very reliant on like my guy friends to like ask them for advice. Cause then I'm just like, give me some pointers. Like, I know to an extent what you guys go through, but like, tell me what I should be doing. And just like their ability to like not give a fuck.
Yeah.
And like, I give every fuck. So I'm like, hold on. Like, I'll be like, oh my God, this person just sent me this. Like, and I'll send it to them and they'll be like, leave them on red. Like, you don't want to talk to that person. I'd be like, but that's mean. Like, shouldn't I just like, like hit them with and they're like, no, like if you have no interest in that person, like don't mess with them. Or even like getting certain type of advice, like just like their mindset of it is like, I'm like, dang, am I a pick me? Like,
no,
I'm like, I don't want to be a pick me. So I'm like, how do I do this? Like, how do I navigate this better? So I'm like more mentally strong about it than like being in something and then getting my feelings hurt for it. Yeah. So like, I feel like they're just so lucky. And I'm like, I want that confidence that they have. But I feel like there's an issue when like women or like you exude that confidence of like being proud in yourself and the decisions you make. Someone's willing to knock you down a few pegs to be like, you're too confident in this certain phase. Yes. And that's a fear of mine.
I feel like when I heard you say they're lucky, I feel like, yes, they're lucky, but they've also been validated. And even in some ways, socialized to aspire to be. Right? I think there is pressure on men and masculine presented folks to engage in that as part of nature. And it's been validated to the extent that, as women, when we want to engage in some of those behaviors, we know that there's a lot more risk. And in thinking about the risk, I'm curious to get y'all's opinion on, y'all see that silhouette challenge?
Mm-hmm.
The day after the Silhouette Challenge went viral, there were all these folks coming out talking about like, caution, you know, there are ways in which your content can be manipulated to expose your body and expose.
There's literally a video on YouTube now, and it shows you how to take off the red, red filter.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that even something like participating in a trend that takes a confidence and talent and creativity to do, right? That there's this risk of like, you literally now, not only you have something out there that could be taken and manipulated, but people are intentionally spreading how to manipulate those things. So then you have to have this other group of people try to push content and education around like, you know, be proud of yourself, do your thing, but also like do it safely. And like, again, it speaks to this, you know, gender norms of like, now we have to be careful about yet another thing and how we engage in another thing that's supposed to make us feel hot and beautiful and sexy and confident
and attractive
and now how many, like, I wonder how many, you know, beautiful people the next day are like, fuck, like, what do I do now? Like, it's out there, like, you know, always having to worry, like, did somebody take my video and did that to it?
What blows my mind is I saw someone tweet about it too, and I literally said the same thing, was there's multiple porn sites. There's multiple platforms where you can get free content out there ready for you of whatever you would like to see and what you would like to sexualize. But someone just trying to feel confident and just be attractive in their own, you know, perspective in this challenge is now being, you know, misconstrued and perverted into being over sexualized and objectified in the situation when they're just trying to have their moment. And I feel like another thing that I've been seeing too is a lot of men in particular, I would say, have been doing like these like follow-up videos about the Silhouette Challenge, talking about like another challenge, focus on women's bodies and you just showing off your body. What else can you bring to the table besides your body? And one of the people that were doing like a counteractive, like a video back to them, were saying was like, obviously there's multiple groups of people that are not doing it. So the fact that you're just focusing on this one group, that means that either you've been focusing too much on this group in particular, or that's all your timeline has. So what does that mean? That you like what you're seeing as well too. So make a decision. Because the one guy was ranting off talking about the Busted Challenge, talking about the Silhouette Challenge and whatever challenge before that, because there's been plenty of those. But I feel like people try to make it seem like there's a thin line between like liberation and being like, I guess, overly liberated, if that's a thing. But I think it's not that. I think there is like liberation and then also like perversion and being sexualized. And that's what it is.
Yeah. I definitely feel like, I feel like what disgusted me the most about like all the repercussions of the Silhouette Challenge was just like, dang, like you want to hurt someone that bad. Like, what is this like internet culture of being so confident behind your screen that you feel like you see somebody proud or like you see somebody very confident in themselves, and from where you're sitting, you're ready to just try to pull the rug from out them, or just to get a couple of likes or retweets to say something funny or nasty. I definitely feel like people are emboldened to be a lot more hateful and spiteful about that. And I don't know what it's particularly, especially with a lot of like, I don't want to hate on like men in general. Like I see a lot of women say it too, but just like this energy of how a woman presents herself online, or like still having like these certain hoops and hurdles to be like this ideal person. Like you're not gonna get a man doing this. You're not gonna get a partner. Like nobody looks at you doing that, but it's like, but you looking, but you like it, like, but you're checking for them. I actually like, it was something I really struggle with. Like I got out of an abusive-ish situation, and it was like something that was always trying to like constantly hidden to me, was like, why are you doing this to be this presentable person? So when I see people are like the culture, like accept that or making that a conversation of like, well, why do you need to show yourself in this way or do those things? And it's like, because they want to. That's really what it comes down to. It's like, because they want to. Why are you upset?
Yeah.
Why can't you scroll past it? Why do you have to try to make a dialogue out of somebody who looks banging, like who wants to show it. Like, you guys like it, you engage with this content. So now you want to berate the person, like break their morals, like those kind of things. It's like really upsetting to me, just because it's like, let's keep it 100. Like, we all enjoy good looking people.
I have yet to see any video about folks taking down or trying to misconstrue or manipulate like mask identified folks or male identified folks videos. Because I've seen a couple that I was like,
they're doing it too.
Like, I've seen a couple and I haven't heard nothing about their videos being, people trying to figure out how to take the filter off. Because there was one, I was like, I would really like to see this. But there's the block there, so I can't, so I wouldn't. But yeah, I think that once again, that just ties back to like the sexualization versus attraction, because it goes, I think that's the same notion of like the whole movement of like free the nipple. It's once again, you see mass-identified folks, you see like males, men-identified folks walking around, shirts off. We all have nipples, unless you might have not had one when you were born, whatever. But we all have them on our bodies, right? But why is it that if I want to walk around outside, I mean, it's cold right now, but if I was like, oh, you know what, let me just go grab this real quick, someone else, like a man, can go ahead and do that and it's no issue. Or at the beach, like, why is it acceptable for a bathing suit but not like underwear and a bra when it's the same thing? It's just different fabric. Make it make sense.
Right.
I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I want to be able to just be attractive or just be myself, but somehow I'm still being sexualized. And I think I asked one of my guy friends and they were like, well, it's hard to not focus on when your nipples get hard. I said, it's hard to not focus when your nipples are hard. And they were like, mine, no, guys, like, yes, they do. They're right now. I'm looking at them. And they literally started getting, paranoid, and they started feeling like violated. And I said, exactly. So how do you feel when like, female identified folks are like women walking around trying to live their lives, trying to be just braless, because it's actually kind of better to be braless over time. There's been studies on it. It's not really beneficial with bras that you're over here sexualizing their nipples, and they just could be living their lives. Nipples do whatever they want. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're horny or it's really cold. They have a mind of their own, so that's so frustrating when I hear people say that. I'm like, no, no.
Right. I think you really made me think about, especially when we start talking about social media, like the power that social media has to create narratives that are then acceptable. I think, Talia, you mentioned something about how the content becomes now this dialogue and this conversation about the people that are putting out the content. And I think, I don't know if this is the person that you're talking about, Maria, but there's this person who has gained a following and clout on TikTok for creating content that's very much like him spilling thoughts around like problematic ass shit, like talking about like why women are hoes, or just any sort of like negative stereotype about women, to the point where this other creator duetted their account and they were like, homie, I did my research. Like, your account started blowing up when you started talking negatively about women. And that was your first video of you talking negatively about women. So when you saw that got you clout, you kept doing that. And so now, like, he talks about, I think he had this, his viral video was when he was talking about how girls hated the friend zone because it meant they couldn't manipulate men. And of course, he's speaking binary and he's speaking hetero. But he was kind of talking about this like power dynamic and how like the friend, it was stupid. And that blew up. And so again, this person was like exposing the fact that like he gained this platform and all this clout from putting out that content. So then he took it and ran with it. And now he's validating other people that feel that way. And
he has some like academy too. I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I honestly, our academy that he's making
them that much attention. Yes. I didn't pay him that much.
And like men are buying into this. Like he has thousands of subscribers on YouTube. They're buying to have these sessions with him to learn their way out of the friend zone or learn how to manipulate women right back to how they're manipulating men supposedly. And I'm like, you are literally thriving off of the insecurities of some of these people, or this notion from like 1920 that's not realistic, and it's actually very harmful and toxic, and as mentally draining, it's going to affect you in the long run. Like, it's not healthy.
Talia's face.
Just thinking like, what, like, where's your thought process? Like, I understand people get that, like, that rush of that clout, like your likes and stuff, but it's just like, it's just not in me to like tear somebody down, like to just want to shit on somebody so bad. Like, what were you? I feel like that Gabrielle Union, like when she's just like, did you get the house? Did you get the job? The car? No, you're in the same exact spot. Like, you're just a hater. Like, how does that benefit your life?
Mhm.
It's really sad. I'm not participating in that. But if you do a challenge,
I'm really upset because I really was going to do the silhouette challenge. I was so ready. Let me tell you, I was like, I'm about to show
you gotta have a little music,
you know? Right. You know, I was ready. And then it was someone's one tweet that was talking about being cautious, and it wasn't even that many numbers on it yet. Like, it was still a small thing. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just a few, because I was really nervous. I did see some folks like that did it, and you could tell they were definitely naked, and that was my biggest concern too. I was like, oh, they're naked. No. And so I was like, yeah. I'm not going to do it now. And then more people start talking about the whole caution, you know, warnings. And I was like, well, there it goes. I'm done. I'm not doing it.
Yep.
Whether I'm clothed or not, it's fine. I'm not doing it. I just can't now.
Yeah. And again, I think that to like tie things up with a bow and wrap up this particular segment, like, that's what makes me like want to be petty about this shit, right? Of like, it's unfortunate that like, well, what it was a trend that was huge and that was empowering, that like you were about to participate in as somebody who's very pro-ho and very like sex positive.
Pro-ho, love it.
I know, I just like pro-ho.
Yeah. Write that down.
Yes. But you know, as somebody who's, you know, pro-ho and sex positive, now that deterred you from participating in something like that, and then using that as a tool to, right, like showcase that confidence. And that's just unfortunate. That's why we're having a whole petty party about it, because there are some serious ass repercussions to just literally wanting to be a confident, sexy person. And it's why it's like, that's the thing, like, you know, nobody wants you to like not recognize that like people are hot, because again, we all like an attractive person, but it's when it goes beyond just the acknowledgement of like, oh, that's attractive, let me keep on minding my damn business. It's when it turns into then, you know, what sometimes in some extreme cases leads to like really, really heavy shit, but
action,
you know, heavy actions. It can break down someone's confidence, and that we know that process takes a long time. We know that it takes a lot of courage, right, to want to embrace that aspect of yourself. So to know that we're actively still fighting against this culture that doesn't accept that, that's what's so hard, right? Because then we still have people like me who I get to be unapologetic myself until I go to my mom's house, and then I'm just like, yeah, I'm just here, and I can't say that like it's not her fault, right? Like, she was conditioned to think a certain way about the way that women present themselves as well. And, you know, I've a very different parenting styles from like what you got from your mom, what you get from your mom when it comes to relationships. I don't talk to my mom about that stuff because I just know that like our visions don't align. So it's just so unfortunate, right? That like there are consequences. And of course, there's a positive side to being a sexually liberated person and to being a confident person. But we can't not recognize that like there's also dangers in doing that. And that's just really unfortunate. It makes me mad. I just feel like we're gonna have to have like an offline conversation with Talia and like coach her into her first hoe phase.
Yes, I want to do that.
You know,
so excited.
Look, we got your back. Our fire Sagittarius cold-hearted selves got you. We're gonna train you and teach you how to take control and how to not care, at least temporarily. Just temporarily. I
gotta tap back into being 21 again, but that's where, whoo, come on. This is a good year.
I wouldn't say not care, but just care about me more.
Yes, because you're the center, you're the sun in the rotation and the rotation. and the roster. You are the sun. Everyone orbits around you, not vice
You hold
versa.
a roster. You're not a part of the roster.
Pro ho.
You hold
Pro
ho.
Let's go. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to tell our audience? Where can they find you?
Yes, one more time for the folks at
One
home,
more
which should be
time.
everyone.
You can find me on Instagram at my friend Talia, and that's Talia spelled like Natalia, but without the N and the A, and there's no H. Just so you know, I wanted to clarify. But
I'll just specify it and we can find you right now.
Just letting you guys know. But thank you so much for having me. I am an avid listener. I love podcasts like the ones you're doing, particularly because the stories that you tell, I can identify with. And also just being able to, I don't know, feel like you guys are my homegirls. Like I can listen to you throughout the day and just kind of sharing your experiences, like that sense of community. Y'all look like me. Like it's like that sort of setting, you know, being able to have this platform and being able to share this with people like me and people not like me. I appreciate it. Y'all are doing the work. I love it. All of your stories are great. And all of your goals are great, by the way, because I was sitting there like, where are my 2020 goals? I'm telling you, I actually listen and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Can't wait to put some more people on. I listen on YouTube, you know, and all the places that you guys can listen to one of my favorite podcasts.
Yeah.
Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube.
Talia, hopefully this is the start. I've asked Talia multiple times to just please let us into her life and just start a vlog, just start a YouTube channel, to just let us in. Just let us in. The people want in.
We'll start with the reel.
I was gonna say you can always start with the reel.
Yes.
No, I mean you have up to 30 seconds, but you know, start with 15. If you're like, I don't really know how I feel about it. 15, just a little bit, a sprinkle,
just a
skosh, a smidge.
Just a little.
I really try to do I'm gonna keep it 100. I tried to do my makeup one time on a reel, getting ready for work, and I was like, this isn't gonna be that difficult. That shit was really difficult. So I just have to. I gotta gas myself up, get some confidence, and I'll put something out. Follow my ad. Y'all know that.
I just followed you right now.
Yeah,
Friends.
Isn't there a
How
song?
many of us have
them? Friends. The ones you can depend on. Friends.
Yes. See, the singing,
right.
song breaks just come in naturally. It's been a great time. We look forward to having you on the podcast again because there's something to talk about. There's plenty of other topics that I know we can come together and really we just want to say thank you so much for supporting because it means to know that again the message is relatable and that hopefully, I think I said this the other day, that like people like a little humor with our personal development and personal growth. You know, we're growing here. We're all about challenge, but shit's too tough to not crack a joke or a song here and there. So so happy that you joined us. Thank you for being so flexible and for giving us your time. Thank you.
You guys are great.
You're great.
So we can't end the episode without giving a shout out of what we like to call our snaps to some awesome folks in our community. Governor Logic, would you like to spit it out for us?
Of course. I am so excited for this week's snaps because we are going to another podcast. Podcast that I've been thoroughly enjoying. When I tell you that like every time I listen to this podcast, I'm like, oh, yes, I have a story about that. And I owe them an email because I told them I would be emailing them my stories and I haven't. So SNA, support and accountability.
Yes.
Email. But Another Spooky Podcast is a podcast that's hosted by Irma Cornejo and Karina Reyes, and they are a pair of really hilarious, funny best friends who talk about spooky things. It's like spooky stories, but you add a little bit of culture. It's great. Mm-hmm. Great. So you can find them on Instagram at Another Spooky Podcast. I can promise you that if you enjoy true crime, you'll like some of their stories. But if true crime scares you, you will also like their podcast because they're funny. It's like scary stories, but they're funny. So I can stomach them. I still have to listen, because I'm a baby. I do have to still listen to it with somebody else, but I don't listen to true crime ones. So this is, if you're looking for a light, spooky podcast, Another Spooky Podcast is there for you. So go check them out. They're on Instagram and they're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the platforms out there. So go show some support and snaps to them. Well, I think that's all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it home. It is bring it home. No, whatever. I don't know.
You're doing great, sweetie.
Thank you. We're gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah.
This is episode 5.
Número 5.
Once again, we are So Basically a podcast about queer stories,
our Banter sisterhood,
and our semi-filtered thoughts. Because we need to keep our jobs.
Yes,
we do. Yes, we do. I am Cabrona Logic. This is
the Black Maria.
And we look forward to seeing you for yet another episode in 2 weeks. Follow us at So Basically the Podcast on Instagram and tune in on YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud.